Evans here. I'm the CEO of Driven, and you're probably wondering where the hell Suzanne is. So really, the truth is she's just gotten lazy, and she's decided to stop doing these, and I'm totally kidding. But actually, she's doing this 100-day challenge. If you've been watching, we're on day 7. And she's actually going to have a few guests pop in. So I'm either lucky enough to be the first guest or I was the first sucker. I'm not sure which one. But I'm going to kick you off this morning on this Wednesday Live. And we're going to be popping in on some of our team members here in a minute, and I'll tell you why. The truth is that Suzanne is flexing her freedom muscle today, and what that means is she is at a school activity with her son this morning, and they'll be doing that for a good part of the day. And the reason she's able to do that is because we have an incredible team that gets a lot of shit done during the day, to be perfectly honest, especially this week. If you're on our list or you follow us in other places, you probably know we're doing a live training tonight, tomorrow night, and Thursday night. Suzanne is doing free coaching. So if you aren't registered, we can pop the link in the comments and you can check that out if you might be interested. But the team is super busy preparing all of that, getting the content ready, getting every slide ready. We're going to be going live in this incredible studio. So there's lots of stuff going on this week. And no matter your level of business, you're probably thinking about, the reason you got into business, which is to have more freedom in your life. And if you're at the beginning stages, you may not have the opportunity for a large team like we do. So this may be more aspirational for you to kind of think about some of the things to look forward to. Or if you are at that level of business where you're starting to build your team, you can kind of look at some of the great things to look for in great team members and the things that they make them most productive. Because the truth is, Suzanne can be in business and have this big team, but if the team isn't getting stuff done while we're here, then she can't really be out doing things that she needs to do. So I thought it'd be fun to kind of pop in on a few of them, collect a few great hacks that, again, you might be able to use whether you're building a team or things that you can do to increase your productivity, even if you're just a solopreneur. So let's take a little walk in the office and see who our first victim is.
Let's go.
All right. By the way, we've got Brennan behind the camera.
Hi, guys.
So he's just going to be following me around. So let's visit David Vance. Hi, David.
Hey.
David Vance is our creative director. He creates incredible video for our company as well as our clients, if you haven't had the opportunity to meet him. David, tell me what is one of your number one hacks or tips for being productive, especially right now. You have a ton on your plate between the live stream this week and fulfilling client work. So what's helping you get it done?
No cards, and that's a simple thing. I think one of the major things is I have about 12 things to do on any day, and it always seems undoable until I break it down into check boxes.
Yeah, I think that's great. So besides the caffeine, the note card. So he was actually telling me about this yesterday. I thought it was really interesting. He kind of went back to his high school, college days of writing essays, right, and kind of outlining. So kind of how that, how the note card came to be.
Yeah, when I was in school in college, the only way I could make my brain study was to fit every note I had onto one page so that it seemed attainable and doable. So that's sort of carried over into what I do every day. I have a green one for things to do, and then a purple one for subtasks, and a yellow one for notes. There's a whole weird system.
Wow, this goes deeper than I even thought. There's color coding involved.
There's all sorts of things to it. So yeah.
So what happens at the end of the day when maybe a couple check boxes don't get ticked off?
Well, I mean, if they're really important check boxes, then I stay. There's stuff.
It's something that can carry over.
It goes to the next day and then gets bumped up to the top of it. And then if I notice that there are check boxes that are going unchecked for several days, then I reconsider if it's something that really needs to be done, or if it's, just sort of consider why it's gone several days going unchecked.
Yeah, or maybe it's something you need to pull another team member in to support you on. Okay, cool. I didn't know the deepness to which this went with the color coding.
It's a weird
of
system
the index cards.
that, if it works, it's not broken.
Well, and I think the important thing about this is, like, have a system, right? Have something that you're following that's keeping you on top of tasks. Obviously, he likes something that's written. We use a system called Asana. You may have heard of that, where we manage a lot of our big projects and tasks. So any studio project that's going on that has major milestones that have to be hit are all tracked in Asana. This is really how he's checking his daily little checkoffs, because at any given point he has these tiny little things such as what's it called? Rendering.
Yeah.
It's a favorite term around here, to render.
People don't believe
video.
rendering actually exists because it looks a lot like doing nothing. But
It does look a lot like doing nothing. I will oftentimes find David just kind of hovering around my office and like, "Are you rendering?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm rendering," because he can't do anything else for those couple minutes. But so anyway, okay, that's super helpful.
Thank you.
Thanks. I'll let you get back
to doing
yes.
this.
Nice job, David.
Thank you.
All right, let's hop in on Tom.
Oh, wow.
So Tom is on our finance team. So he deals with numbers and spreadsheets and QuickBooks all day long. You have some limited hours in the office as well. So you actually have a lot to get done in a shorter amount of time than some other folks in the office. So how do you do it?
Kind of similar to David, I have a checklist, so I have a checklist every day that I kind of prioritize based on stuff I need to take care of for that day.
Yeah.
And also that week. So
Are you a software guy, paper list guy?
I do some Asana as well,
Okay.
and then got my list here. Usually got about 4 or 5 tasks that I
Pencil and a notebook.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
pretty much what I go by. So
Yeah.
check
I'm pretty similar with that. I have my big things in Asana, and then I also keep just a little running paper list every day with check boxes. I find it very satisfying to
Definitely
cross them out.
Yeah.
I like that feeling.
Yeah,
All
definitely
right.
feels good. So,
Good.
yeah.
All right. Thanks, Tom.
All right.
All right. Brennan, I am coming to you. So even though you're behind the camera,
Okay.
don't think that you're getting out of this.
Great. I have one ready.
Okay, great. Bree is our marketing manager. So she is super busy right now.
Always.
She's always super busy, right? Because we're constantly marketing. If you're in business, you kind of have to always be marketing. So she's always got a lot on her plate, but especially this week with everything we have. So I know you probably have something on hand. I'm maybe throwing a little curveball at you.
Hit me with
But talk to specifically getting stuff done in a launch, because you have a compressed amount of time to get several things done, and everything is pretty specifically lined up in terms of timeline. So how do you do it?
Yeah, so there are tons of checklists between having things in Asana, having a spreadsheet of everything that needs to be done, sharing that with all different members of the team that are involved, even someone who might not necessarily be involved, just get an extra set of eyes on it. Any extra team like outside of the office, so any vendors you use for it, just really making sure it's in so many places that it kind of makes you want to throw up, because there is no way in hell you're missing this deadline on it. So that's really important.
So what I'm hearing, it's a checks and balances system, right? So you have it in multiple places to make sure, because you're also managing a lot of people that are doing other things, because we have outside vendors that support with our launch, whether that's between email providers, Facebook ad providers, those sorts of things. As well as Tyler doing our design, Brennan supporting you on getting the emails written to get out and all that sort of thing. So it's a checks and balances system of just making sure there's no possible way anything could fall through the cracks.
Yeah, and that's like in a spreadsheet, in Asana, like you mentioned, in a notebook, like having it written down too many times so you make sure you don't miss it, and just double checking one another too. I think that's the biggest thing to make sure you're getting things done, is having someone to be like, hey, did you get this done, or do you need any support getting this done? I think that's like the best way to make sure you don't miss anything.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. You know, for those of you who have a team or you're building a team, is having your team, have that sort of consciousness that to ask if someone got something done or to check in with them on something is not because they're, trying to be up in your business all the time, right? And doubting that you did the work. It's more really about just making sure, hey, have we gotten everything done that needs to happen? Again, because when you're going live like we are tonight and doing free coaching, like there's not a lot of room for error when we do this. Between the timing of the emails that go out, the link that we send to make sure that people can get on, because you can imagine if a link is even just one little teensy bit off, the flood of support emails that we get, it's like, hey, I can't get on, hey, I can't get on, right? And so then that falls on the rest of the team to have to rush out to respond to those emails to get people on. And then Suzanne's doing a live stream to no one, what's the point of that? So I think that's great, right? Like, creating a culture within your team that knows that when people are double checking that something got done, it's not because they doubt that you're doing your work. It's because they're looking at the greater good of what's going on for the company and the team in that moment to make sure you're supporting one another. So that's really awesome. Cool. Did you have another hack on board while you were listening to us?
I was going to say something, but I'm pretty sure I blanked on what it was because you threw me a curveball.
I know, sorry.
But no, I think one of the biggest things that are going to help you with being productive is also just like having a supportive team around you.
Yeah.
Regardless of who that is. Whether that's just, a spouse getting you a coffee because you're working late, or just someone being like, hey, I may not be a copywriter, but I can read, so I can proofread this email for you just to make sure it goes out well. But just, having a good support system is going to be the most helpful thing in getting your work done.
Yeah. That's awesome. Thanks, Bri. All right, I'm definitely letting you get back to work because I know you've got a lot to do. All right, Tyler.
Hello.
Hi, Tyler.
Hi, how are you?
Tyler is our creative director on design, so he makes everything that you look at really pretty that comes from our team look amazing. So what you kind of have a different. Well, one, I think you could share your notebook because I think that's really cool.
Sure.
And how you kind of organize your tasks. And you're a pretty organized person. I think that's your design OCD brain. But you have kind of different tasks than other people on the team, right? Where other people are writing copy, or they're putting emails together, links together, order forms. Everything you do is in a creative space.
Yep.
So how do you kind of maintain that balance of keeping everything creative while still hitting deadlines and making sure it gets done on time?
Yes, so I was hoping nobody covered this by the time it got to me, but my tip is going to be to take breaks, especially from a creative standpoint, because you need to have that space to kind of give your brain a rest, to not be on the same task for hours and hours, and just to kind of give yourself a rest and to think about other things and to come back to it with fresh eyes. I think is probably the best thing you can do, especially in a creative space.
Yeah, I actually think that's a great tip. So I think what you're trying to say, sometimes that means, all right, maybe it's time for lunch.
Going to grab
right?
coffee or going to the bathroom.
Yeah, absolutely. Just
conversation with somebody.
Breaking it, but also sometimes switching tasks, right?
Yeah,
Being
that
like,
helps.
I've looked at this way too long. Let me switch to the next task. That's great when you're coming from a creative standpoint. I think sometimes that's true of copy as well. When you've just been reading and looking at Brennan's nodding his head. When you've been looking and reading at the same thing over and over and over and over, it really kind of starts to look all the same. So to just switch to doing something else for a few minutes and coming back to it, you start to see the glaring, whether it's spelling errors or just that doesn't even make sense what I was saying, right? They start to stick out to you a little bit more. Design things that you're like, I don't love that as much as I did the first time, or I can see the little tweak that I can make. And then it should just throw up your notebook too.
Well, I use Asana too, but I'm very visual, so I kind of break things into different boxes and I'll put things on a different page if it's a different kind of event that we're working on. But I do like the visual checking off and crossing off a task. It helps me feel accomplished that I finished something.
Yeah, it seems like a theme in the office. There's a mix of the software plus your personal.
Suzanne's been grinding in our brains for years.
Yeah, Suzanne is a super paper list person. She does everything on paper. I don't even think she's ever logged into Asana. Don't take that as permission that you should not use it and never log into it. But of course we have a team and managers and oversight that make sure the team is getting their tasks done within Asana. But I think there's a lot to be said, back to Bri's point about the checks and balances. There's nothing wrong with having it in Asana, but also having it on your paper list. That way, with absolute certainty, it's going to get done because it's in one of those places. So, all right, cool. Thanks, Tyler.
Thank you.
Yeah. Alex, I heard you laughing over here, so I had to come to.
That was me?
Yeah. Laughing at Tyler.
Yeah.
So this is Alex, and Alex is he manages our front desk. So you can see we're kind of at the front of our office if you've never been in our space. So he is the first smiling face that you get to see when you come into Driven Inc. But he also takes care of all of our clients in all of our programs, which is a tall order because that's anything that we do online, our high-level clients, Suzanne's private clients, our speaking clients, every single program. So we're talking about hundreds of people every year that he's managing, and he actually ends up pretty much answering almost all of the support emails from those people. And those range from everything to, hey Alex, I've lost my password, right, to log into the portal, to, hey Alex, Rob doesn't have any more coaching times on his calendar and I can't book my coaching call, right? And I really need to get that coaching call in this week. So he's dealing with a myriad of issues at any point during the day. So between managing some of your office tasks, because you manage help manage the office as well, as well as managing clients, how do you get all that done?
A couple different ways. Obviously, everybody's already talked about Asana, and that's something that I've been reluctant, but I've been getting more accustomed to, and it actually does help with all the different projects, whether it's setting up a podcast or different calls to make sure everybody knows what they're doing. But like most anybody else, I am a caveman, and for me, I have to jot down almost everything, use my Post-its, I have calendars. It's just a way for me to make sure things don't slip through the cracks, even if it's a small thing. If it's an email that came in, I know that I need to follow up with it. So I'll jot it down. I'll use Boomerang on Google. And obviously...
Boomerang is Google, but why don't you explain what Boomerang is?
Yeah, Boomerang
for people,
is...
if you have G Suite and you use Gmail, this is an add-on that you can use.
Yeah, so that allows you to kind of delay a response or put it back in your inbox, whether it's an hour, 2 hours, a day, a week, whatever it may be, but it gives you a chance to follow up. It'll pop back into your inbox. You're like, oh, I forgot about that like 3 hours ago. Okay, now I know I need to respond to something. So it's a great way to make sure that nothing falls through and that you're staying on top of things.
Yeah, it's a great way to, it's great if it's something that's like, this is not a priority right now, so I do not need to respond to this in this moment, but I do need to respond to it tomorrow morning and I'll take care of it then. Right. So Boomerang it. The other thing Boomerang is really great for is if you sent an email to someone.
Yes, they haven't responded.
And they haven't responded and you need to follow up. So this is great for your sales follow-up to remind you to follow up with someone. This is great for your vendors. So if you've reached out to a vendor to get a particular contract or a quote or something like that, to make sure that in 2 days it's like, oh yeah, Victor didn't respond to me, so I boomeranged myself to follow up with him again so I can send another email to be like, hey, I'm still waiting on that quote, that contract, that whatever. So that's a good one. I forgot about that. So while we're speaking of softwares and way to use online tools, besides just our paper list, which we all are a little bit reliant on. If you have Gmail, I highly recommend using Boomerang. The other thing you can use in Gmail as well is, I don't know that it's what it's called, but it basically has time delay. So you can send an email at a later response and schedule it to go out later. So I've used that quite a few times as well when, okay, here, a little confession. So Thanksgiving Day, I was leaving the next day for a 2-week trip. So I knew I was going to be out of the country. I knew I was going to be out of pocket on the flight for like 18 hours. So while I was waiting on my dough to rise, I make my grandmother's homemade yeast rolls every Thanksgiving. And so while I was waiting on my dough to rise, which was like an hour, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to set up a couple of emails to go out after, right? To go out like the next Monday morning. So I don't look like a crazy person emailing on Thanksgiving. I also don't want to be that person who's like in your inbox on Thanksgiving. Like, nobody was like, really? You're working on Thanksgiving? But I really wasn't. I just was like kind of, my family had already gone off and like was doing some other things to get prepared for the day. And I was waiting on these rolls. So I was like, why not? I'll just write a couple emails. Anyway, that's my little confession. But that's another great tool in G Suite if you use Gmail. All right, Brennan, I'm going to take the camera.
Whoa.
So you,
Okay.
so you could talk about yours.
Hey.
Okay. I want to see we get some people on. I'm going to say hello to a couple people first. We've got Audrey and Katya and Kitty, Wendy. Hi, Wendy. Awesome. Just checking out. Oh, Claudia. Good morning, Claudia. You're looking so bored while I'm doing this. Annie. Great. Okay, cool. That's awesome. Just wanted to say hello to folks that are watching. So, okay, now tell us what's your hack? What's your tip?
Well, I think you've got to go into the zone to really focus on tasks. That's what I have to do at least.
Okay. How do you get in the zone?
Putting the earbuds on, putting some Kenny G, jazz, saxophone stuff on, just to really focus. I
need to show you Alex's reaction.
Well,
okay.
He does it too. But
That's
he
true.
doesn't- Yeah.
That's true. He does get in the zone and listen
I
to
do
music.
lock in.
Yeah.
Mhm. But you just got to put that jazz music on and focus on your task. I write a lot of copy, and if you're distracted, you might. It's easy for it all to blend together. A
Yeah.
little bit, so.
Yeah. No. Absolutely. No. I think that's a good one. So, just like getting laser focused in on something.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long at a time do you typically work on copy when you're writing?
Usually half hour blocks. I try to block it off. So if I'm working on something for too long, then it's switch to something else because it re-energizes your brain a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think that's really helpful.
Yeah, come back fresh to it. Okay, that's awesome. Thanks. And Annie loves the zone, getting in the zone. So, all right, Annie's loving the tip. Remove distractions. No, Annie actually is. Annie, I know you're not on our team, but I think she's bringing up a good one too, which is remove distractions. Like turn off notifications on your computer for a couple of minutes. If you are using your computer, maybe just like shut down mail, shut down that stuff for just a couple of minutes, right? So that you can get in the zone, as Brennan says. All right, we're gonna go to Brian, unless he's on the phone. We should probably check.
We'll check.
If he's on the phone. But if Brian is not on the phone, he'll be our last person who does a.
He's ready for us.
Brian Stark.
What's
Oh,
up?
it smells like bacon in here.
Well, of course it does.
It's delicious.
Let me hide
Oh
any
my
financial
gosh.
stuff from the computer.
Yeah. This is incredible. Guys, his office smells like bacon and it's amazing.
It does.
Yeah. All right, so Brian is our COO. If you don't know him, our Chief Operations Officer. And
It's
Brian,
weird that you're behind me, but that's okay, Facebook. I love that you're behind me because you're always behind me.
Brian makes sure that everything gets done pretty much.
Yeah.
So, into the truest sense of operations. Like, if it is operational.
Or not, or more importantly,
not.
not operating,
Not
which
operational.
is usually what lands on the desk.
That's true. I guess if everything were operational.
Yeah, I
Wouldn't have a job.
wouldn't have a job, so there you go.
All right, cool. So, God, Brian has been a coach. He's been a business owner. He's been a COO. He's been a little bit of everything. So, what's your number one productivity hack?
I would say that it's one, you would look around my office and you would think that paper would be what I would say. If you scan kind of over here. But I do think, or anywhere, but I think that the biggest productivity hack, if you are a business owner or you're running a business, is actually your team. Your team is your best productivity hack that you have available to you. Whether it's one person or it's 15 people, it's about having people that you trust that are actually, that you've shared productivity tips with, that they're able to stay on it, and then you're just checking in with them, but you're delegating everything that you can to them so that you can focus on what's important. Like for me, it's keeping the lights on, paying the bills, and making sure that everything's working here in the office. But as a business owner, it's about going out there, doing your sales, working on actually the creative side of the marketing, but handing all that off to your team so they can actually get it done for you. That opens up the bandwidth, and kind of like what Tyler talked about, because he's right outside my office, so I actually heard what he was saying about taking a break. That's what you get to do. If you're not thinking about all the crap you have to do, and you're able to hand it off to your team, your brain gets to take a break from all of the lists, and it's the lists are on their plate. So you're actually able to think and take the time to actually get things done. That'd be my number one tip. My other tip is have a system for stuff. There's some stuff that I have to do on the finance side of the business. I have to do the same thing every time. Check the bank accounts, check this, check that, update things. That's all in a list that I could check off. If I get hit with a bus tomorrow, someone can open up my computer, find the SOP, and actually knock it out. Brendan's like, ooh, I can find that. Where's that bank account info? But it's one of those things that's all listed out. So if anything happens to me, or I get sick, or I got to leave, I can share that doc with somebody, and they've got it, and they can keep the business running without me having to think about it.
Yeah.
I think that there's a whole bunch of minuscule things within that. It's just, but I think your team is your biggest asset that you have, and you want to do everything you can to train them and get them up to a place where you're able to trust them. And the hardest thing you're going to be able to do, because if you're a business owner, you're probably a type A personality, is letting go. But you got to let go. You got to trust them to do their job and actually get out there and make things happen for you.
Yeah, and if you hire well, that's never going to be an issue, right? You get the right people in the right roles. They're with leadership and guidance from you. That's an important piece of this. It's not just you disappear. Suzanne is very much steering this ship all the time. But the team's going to get stuff done and trust them to do what you hired them to do, right? So I think we've heard big high level stuff. The team has done a great job of sharing some little hacks. Because again, if you're not in a position to have a team yet, use some of these little tips that everyone shared that keeps them organized on a daily basis.
And I actually just kind of think of little things. Everyone's got a long list. My list is 2 pages plus 150 things literally in my computer that I've got to do. A bunch of them are red because I'm a little behind today. That happens every day. One is, don't get stressed out if you get behind. It's going to happen. You're never going to get everything done. That's the beauty of being in business. It's an adventure every single day. But prioritize what's the number one thing I have to get done today? What's the thing that is so critical to my business or my sanity that it has to happen? Make that the first thing you do. Knock it out first thing in the morning, then everything else is gravy. You're not going to get everything on your list done. And if you're sitting there going, well, I'll just hit the easy stuff first, you'll never get to the important stuff. Hit that critical number 1 or number 2 thing first thing in the morning, knock it out, and if you get some other stuff done on your list, awesome. You probably won't. But if you do, great, but you knock out those really important things, because that's actually make the biggest difference in the longevity of your business, because that you'll be able to start catapulting on that success.
Yeah, that is my biggest one, is get the most painful thing out of the way. That thing that you're just like, I don't want to do this. And you so desperately don't want to do it. Whether it's, responding to a support email, someone's a little cranky, or, something like that that's just like, just sucks the life out of you to think about doing. You want to get it done first thing, because honestly, the energy that you will spend thinking about not wanting to do it is completely wasted, right? You get that out of the way, you're more energized and excited about the things that you do want to do without having this thing just kind of like this cloud looming over you for the entire day of something that you have to deal with. So deal with the difficult things first and deal with the important things first. Yeah. And get them out of the way. So this is awesome. Thank you, Brian.
Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, thanks for those of you for joining us. And again, if you're interested in some free coaching with Suzanne this week, we'll pop the link into the comments so that you can get registered if you're not already. It's tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern, tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern, and Thursday night at 6 p.m. Eastern.
You see how we systematize that?
Awesome. We'll see you tonight. Bye for now.
Take care.